I've been a fan of Halo. I used to have an Xbox 360. I played Halo 1 through 3. I used to play a lot of Halo 3, a lot of online multiplayer in Halo 3. And this new Halo Infinite, if anyone doesn't know, it was supposed to come out last year with the Xbox Series launch. It announced that, okay, the game's not ready. We have to work on it some more. And it got pushed back until, a date unknown. It's now supposed to come out this holiday season, 2021, around November, December, around there. The biggest thing about this for me, and so spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the showcase yet, the Halo Infinite multiplayer is going to be a free-to-play game. Halo, I don't even want to say the golden child of Xbox. Like, they are Xbox. Xbox is Halo. Halo is Xbox. It's like giving out a Mario game for free with Nintendo, right? The Halo Infinite multiplayer is going to be a free-to-play game. Like, all the Fortnite, Apex, Valorant, Call of Duty Warzone, right? All of these popular free-to-play games, Halo is going to be one of them. It's going to have battle passes, it's going to have skins, it's going to have cosmetics. But the idea that Halo, their golden child, is going to be a free game that everyone can play. And as we mentioned, right, if you're on an Xbox, if you're on a computer, eventually if you're on a cell phone, if you're on your TV, you can play it, right? That is going to get so many people invested into the Halo franchise, just into Xbox in general, because they are one and the same.
Yeah.
And another, I guess, kind of consumer-friendly aspect of this, right? They were saying that we're going to have battle passes, and during the battle pass, as you level up, you're going to get different cosmetics. But unlike other games, when you earn a cosmetic through leveling up, that's the only way you can earn it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be, okay, play for 20 hours and you can get this cool new golden Spartan skin, or you could pay $20 and you could get it without having to play. It's going to be, no, there's only one way to do this. You play, you earn it yourself. That's it. And I think, as someone who's played the Fortnites and the Apexes, and, you grind for however long, and there's a skin that's only been in the battle pass at like the second season, and then all of a sudden, like season 9, it's like, oh yeah, I just bought this for $10. I didn't have to play for it. It, kind of hurts a little bit to see that. But the fact that they emphasized, hey, this is going to be strictly about playing the game, enjoying it, and there's not going to be any shortcuts for people to pay for. It's something I like to hear in a free-to-play battle pass style game. But what are your thoughts on the Halo Infinite multiplayer, on it being free-to-play, on it being, it's going to be on every Samsung, Android, to, Roku TV, to everything?
Honestly, so it just looked fun. Like, they focused mainly on multiplayer in this look at Halo, and every second of it just looks so fun. And I'm not even like a huge Halo person. I do really love arena shooters. Really big fan of like Unreal Tournament, and I got really big vibes from that. When you see, in this trailer, they show things like all the different weapons you can use, like the gravity hammer's back, the energy sword, but then vehicles too. Like, you're seeing the grappling hook being used to latch on to a like a flying
Banshee.
Yeah, and then you just take the person out and commandeer it. Like, it's crazy. It reminds me so much of how Unreal Tournament 3 was, with all of its big vehicles and the big maps with Capture the Flag. And we talk about all these free-to-play games like Fortnite and Apex and stuff like that. Capture the Flag doesn't exist in those. And that's like one of the best modes that has been in first-person shooters. But, Battle Royales have kind of taken over, and it's just great to see Halo coming back with the classic modes that we all used to love. And yeah, honestly, this multiplayer looks like so much fun, and I think it's going to be one of those. I usually don't like playing multiplayer games, But I feel like this is one of those games, especially if it's as accessible as Microsoft plans it to be, where I can see all of us getting back into Halo like the old days, with it being free to play and just getting back in it and playing Halo. The one question I have for you, though, is we have been doing this podcast for just about a year now, coming up to our 1-year anniversary at the end of the month. And one of the first topics we talked about was the initial showing of Halo. And, you know, I think we both had different kind of opinions on how it looked. I thought, you know, it looked fine considering that they were aiming for 4K 120 frames per second. But the overall kind of reaction to the reveal of Halo Infinite was, this isn't good. This doesn't look good. You know, we don't really like this, and that led to it being delayed. Does this showing of Halo fix that for you? Are you now on board with what they're trying to do? Do you think it looks better? Was it a good thing that they took the time and didn't release it in the way that they originally showed?
It's difficult to say. Because one of the big things about this Xbox Series was supposed to be Halo, right? When you look at the box for the console, Halo Master Chief is on the back of it. What they showed off, and I think we've said this multiple times before, right? When they were talking about this next Halo game, this next generation, there was so much hype around, you know, this Xbox is the most powerful Xbox ever. Well, yeah, it's the newest. It should be the most powerful. But it's like, there was so much hype around the graphical performance and the processing performance, and, you know, this is going to be the best system ever. And Halo didn't wow me when I saw it originally. And we spoke about this on the podcast, right? Is, you know, they were aiming more for, I think, what did you say, 120 frames per second?
Yeah, at 4K.
They were aiming for more, stable gameplay, stable, smooth gameplay, right? 120 frames per second at 4K. They weren't looking for hyper realistic gameplay because, you know, as a first person shooter, especially a competitive first person shooter, the main thing is how stable this game can run, not how pretty it looks. You just want to be able to play this game without it lagging, without it glitching while you're playing a match. If the marketing before we had ever seen Halo was around, this is going to be the best playing, you know, competitive first person shooter out there, and then they showed that, it would have been completely different. But I think because there was so much focus around how amazing this game is going to look, and, you know, that might not be Xbox's fault necessarily. That could be just the media surrounding, you know, this was at the start of a new generation, right? Everyone was talking about how amazing everything is going to look, everything is going to play, you know. But if there was more emphasis on how smoothly this game would play and still look good, I feel like the initial reception of Halo would have been different. And also, it was initially just the campaign that was shown.
Yeah.
Right? The multiplayer aspect wasn't shown at all. Maybe they still had work to do, and they were thinking, okay, if we show people like the first mission, that would get people, you know, the Halo fans hooked. But it didn't. I think if the messaging was different, if they said this is going to be the smoothest running, you know, competitive first person shooter ever, and then they showed off exactly what they showed off today, or I guess not today, on Sunday, and it was, this is classic Halo, all the game modes you love, fully customizable. You can customize everything from the color of your armor to the shape of your elbow plate to the shape of your foot plate to everything you want. You can dress your guy up like a samurai, and it's going to be free to play. I think if they did that at the start, people would have lost their minds for it. I would have been more inclined to go out and buy a Series S, let's say, not a Series X. But I think the fact that they've taken the time, they've polished things, it seems like, and what they've shown within E3, I think this is definitely going to move units for them when Halo comes out.
Yeah.
I definitely see that happening now. And I think, you know, we've always said that, right? Whenever Halo comes out, there is going to be a bump, especially if there's some sort of Master Chief Edition Xbox Series X, right? It's definitely going to sell well because Xbox is Halo. Halo is Xbox.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I stand by what I said last year when we started this podcast. But I'm definitely excited to see what they've shown in E3.
Yeah. That's key. Is like the expectations versus the reality. And I think now that expectations have been set, we know what to expect. You know, and not just the marketing of, oh, the most powerful Xbox ever. I think that gives a little bit more leeway to say, okay, this is going to be a competitive game and it still looks incredibly fun, which is great for Halo.